Niall Ferguson is a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution at Stanford University. While I was baking banana bread and learning how to repot my orchids during pandemic lockdown, he was writing a new book, Doom, The Politics of Catastrophe. He joins me from Palo Alto in California. I also want to know, besides your book, what else you learned to do during pandemic. But first, let's talk about the Roaring Twenties. Do you see those parallels? I mean, obviously we're better controlled and we have better safeguards in a sense and circuit breakers, but is there that unbridled optimism in financial markets that we should be aware of?
Well, yes, Richard, I think there are some similarities, though I certainly don't expect our roaring period to last a decade. And I think it's a mistake to assume that the situation's exactly the same. Remember, people were coming out of a world war as well as a really far, far worse pandemic in 1918-19, the Spanish influenza. The other thing that's very different is the way that governments interact with the economy. The government plays a much, much larger role 100 years later, and we've seen this enormous expansion in both fiscal and monetary terms to offset the lockdowns that were inflicted last year. So I think the situation's different. And the key point I would make is that this is going to last a much shorter time. I mean, I think the party's going to be over sometime next year when it becomes clear that the economy's been overheated and the Fed has to break the bad news that it's going to tighten. Your
book, Doom, The Politics of Catastrophe. You look at the various disasters and catastrophes and draw parallels and lessons to be learned. But I think there's one thing that comes across reading it, and that is finding those connections is not easy because the nature, as you say in the book, the nature of them, no two are exactly the same, and some predicate much bigger reactions than others. What do we learn then from it?
Well, we certainly can't predict disasters because they're just not distributed in a predictable way. You can't even attach a probability to the next massive earthquake on the San Andreas Fault, which I'm sitting right next to. Let's hope it doesn't happen today. The kind of disasters that can befall us are very numerous and unpredictable. And that means that we've got to be generally paranoid, watching out for a wide range of adverse scenarios and ready to react rapidly, rather than being very meticulously prepared for the wrong crisis. And I think the contrast to draw here is between Taiwan last year, which was really quick to see that there was a risk in January 2020 from this new pathogen out of Wuhan, and rolled out testing and tracing and isolating of the infected really rapidly. The result, 12 people, that's right, 12 have died of COVID in Taiwan. Meanwhile, in the United States, which had enormous numbers of pandemic preparedness plans and PowerPoint decks and a dedicated deputy secretary for pandemic preparedness, we were prepared on paper, but in practice, we were completely unprepared. And the preparations turned out to be pretty worthless when the real thing happened.
But you talk, for example, in the book, you've got the Hindenburg and you've got Chernobyl, and you talk about those events, which, you know, I suppose arguably could have been foreseen, but nobody in their right minds would have sort of said we have to, you'd have put things in place, safety measures, but nobody would have been paranoid to that extent. And I just wonder, are we destined to always get these things wrong?
I don't think we're destined to get them wrong. We're not going to avoid disasters. They're going to keep happening. Natural ones, man-made ones will happen. The question is, can we handle them better? And I think the lesson of 2020, 2021 is that we really can. The COVID did not need to be this disastrous, but a whole range of mistakes were made by most Western countries and some South Asian countries that we can see were avoidable. The Taiwanese, the South Koreans, and I should also mention the Israelis, who did a pretty good job, have reasons to be paranoid and reasons to expect trouble from the neighbors in all kinds of different forms, from cyber attack to outright invasion. And I think that explains why they were so quick off the mark and responded so much more efficiently. Whereas Although it was easy to blame everything on Donald Trump or Boris Johnson last year, in truth, the public health bureaucracies in the US and the UK just bungled it. CDC bungled, for example, testing.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Often it's the mid-level bureaucrats who are really to blame when things go wrong. And a good example of this was the famous disaster, the Space Shuttle Challenger, which blew up shortly after launch, one of the most famous disasters in modern American history, though not many people were killed. And it turned out that the bureaucrats at NASA had quietly downplayed the risk. The engineers knew there was a 1 in 100 chance the thing would blow up, 1 in 100. But that became 1 in 100,000 when it went through the NASA bureaucracy, because they really didn't want to concede how risky the whole thing was.
Neil, as one of the world's leading historians and political economic historians, I just want to get your take quickly. This idea of waiving the patent on pharmaceuticals, it's a straightforward argument we've heard a million times. If you do it, it will reduce the incentive for profit and the incentive to innovate. If you don't, it will cost lives. But anyway, not an extra vaccine would be made if you do it. Well, what's the middle ground here? What's the truth?
I think in truth, it's very, very hard to do what Moderna and Pfizer do, even if you waive the patent protection. And what the Biden administration is doing rather subtly here is saying to the pharmaceutical companies, watch drug prices, otherwise we could really do something nasty to you. I think if this was a really major problem for Moderna, the stock would have been down a great deal more yesterday. My sense is that this is not being properly interpreted. It's a signal by the Biden administration. It's not the end of property rights in the pharma space.
Neil, you spent your pandemic time much more usefully than I did. All I've got for it is banana bread and some flowering orchids. You've got a great book.
But I haven't tasted your banana bread. It might be amazing, Richard. Send me some.
Well, that is something that we have to look forward to. And the orchids are blooming beautifully. Now I've repotted them. Doom, the politics of catastrophe. Thank you, sir. Be well.